Welcome, CTs, and welcome to another edition of Everything Weird, Nothing Normal. CT stand for conspiracy theories. I'm sure you're already aware of that. But I would like to welcome anyone who's weird and wonderful. Okay, so today we are going to be talking about the Montreal 1990 UFO picture. Now, as you know, we have discussed lots and lots of pictures over the last couple of weeks, but this one's slightly different, okay? It's not solid, it's not cylindrical, it doesn't show a UFO, okay? But it does show something, all right? So let me discuss it with you, okay? And then you can make your decision from there, okay? Now, the UFO sighting from the rooftop of the Montreal Bonaventure Hotel in downtown Montreal in 1990 is one of the many strange aerial sightings in that part of Canada. So Canada seems to be a bit of a hotspot. Okay, on that particular evening, dozens of people would witness the object. This would include journalists, television reporters, police officers, and obviously the staff of the hotel. Now, given both the amount of witnesses that there were and the credibility of the witnesses, i.e. there were police officers, as well as the photographic evidence that I will stick behind me, the incident is largely seen as one of the most credible and important sightings not only in Canada's history, but for UFO buffs in general. Okay, now there's no surprise considering that the files concerning the case become classified and top secret within days of them coming out. Now, Montreal itself is considered a hotspot for UFO activity. There have been several notable sightings there. Okay, and I will not cover them today. Okay, I am just going to cover this one, but we will try and cover it in different editions. So it says the sighting from the rooftop at about 7:20 on the 7th of November 1990. A woman in the swimming pool on the roof of the Bonaventure Hotel noticed strange glowing lights in the sky above. So she's swimming. She's looked up something weird. Shining a combination of green, amber and yellow, the lights appear part of a solid, large craft. It moved silently towards them, coming from the direction of the nearby stock market building. It settled directly over them, remaining silent and motionless. Now, I am going to stick the skylight photo of Montreal. I will put it somewhere, and it just gives you the vibe, of what's going on. Now, obviously, with such a massive object hanging over the hotel, before long, around 30 people, including hotel staff and management, had made their way to the hotel roof. Obviously, word of mouth. All of them stood at awe at the magnificent sight above them. That's that photo, okay? One of these on the roof that evening was Marcel LaRoche, and I believe this is him there. Okay, I'm going to get his photo up. I've looked to try and find who he is, and this is the closest I can find because he's actually holding the photo. He arrived there at 9 p.m. when the object had been visible for nearly 2 hours. The photographs he managed to obtain are still regarded by some as definite proof that there was a solid object hanging over the hotel that night. On occasion, the lights on the object would appear to glow brighter. Okay, now this freaked people out and they actually called the authorities. Now, the first bloke to turn up, the first officer, was Francois Lipel. He was the first to arrive at the hotel, and within minutes, he would contact his boss to come and have a look for himself, because what he saw freaked him out. He didn't believe it either. Some people just don't believe their own eyes, do they? Now, the chief police officer who turned up was a Robert Mason. He arrived at the scene and immediately saw the object in question. It appeared exactly as the report requesting his assistance had stated. Big, large object, silent, motionless, hanging above a hotel. He told a Canadian TV show examining the case in 2005, this was his words, "I am convinced that I saw something that wasn't made by any inhabitants of this planet. There's no doubt in my mind it come from somewhere else other than Earth." He was there. It freaked him out. Now, bear in mind that this is a chief police officer. He's obviously seen some dodgy stuff. That freaked him out. Macy would oversee the initial police activity that evening until more superior officers turned up. Now, there were nearby spotlights across the road on a construction project. Now, what they told the construction project to do is turn the lights off, just in case by some weird, by some weird coincidence, the lights from the construction site were reflecting in the clouds. So they did turn them off and the object still remained. Mason would make contact with both the local airports and the nearby military radar facility. Neither could see the object on the radar, although Mason would state later that he had a feeling that they were lying to him. They were hiding something from him and not being completely honest in their answers. Now, if we're talking about the military radar facility, come on, they never tell the truth, do they? Ever. They are going to lie to you. At one point in the evening, now this is an interesting, and it's good it happened because it's an interesting thing, right? At one point in the evening, a cargo plane, visible on the radar of the airport, passed between the roof and the object. Knowing the cargo plane was flying 6,000 feet, this allowed Chief Police Officer Robert Mason to estimate that the object itself would be around 8,000 to 10,000 feet above the ground. Now, he calculated, given how large it appeared, he could estimate that it's roughly the size of around 5 football fields. That's a big object, isn't it? Now then, it stood there for hours, but slowly the clouds around it started thickening. And as the night went on, at roughly 10 p.m, the clouds completely enveloped the object and it disappeared. Now, how long it remained over Montreal after that is unknown, but the fact that something was over Montreal that evening there's no doubt. And perhaps it's a little suspicious that all records of the encounter, including the police statements, became classified within 24 hours of the sighting. Now, does this further cement Mason's theory that the military radar facility were telling lies and they did know something was going on? Now, given the amount of witnesses to the event, we can't dismiss the incident entirely. It really did happen. However, it quickly disappeared from the public interest without any explanation. They always do. You have to assume there must be some explanation of that event, even if the files are still classified. So someone knows what happened, and if it is military or if it is the government, we're never going to know. Interestingly, though, UFO researcher and former NASA scientist Richard Haynes investigated the incident in 1992. His 25-page report would conclude that evidence for the existence of a highly unusual, hovering, silent object is indisputable. Something was really there. I mean, I know that photo's a bit grainy, and what I'll do, I'll stick a more, it's a doctored photo, but it just enhances the light for you so you can see a bit better. Okay, it is indisputable that there's something was definitely hovering over that hotel. So before we close this one off, I want to go through a few points, okay? It did hover for 2 to 3 hours. After it disappeared in the clouds, and we really don't know if it was still there or it just disappeared, there was a boomerang UFO sighted on the hydropower station up the road a little bit. Was that the same craft? It's not a helicopter. We do know that helicopters make noises. We do know they have Pacific spotlights. It wasn't a helicopter. It's not a drone. It's too big to be a drone. And in 1990, the sophistication wasn't there. It is not a drone. And importantly, it's not atmospheric either. So they investigated the weather tracking that day, and there was nothing weird or wonderful going on. So it's not an atmospheric anomaly. And, as some people said, it's not a reflection. Now, some people stated that it could be a reflection from the pool lights in the pool. Even though it doesn't match up, you get the theory. But the trouble is, there were misty nights before and there was misty nights after, and that reflection never appeared again. So we can honestly say it's not a reflection. Now then, I want to finish on one other little thing, and I will stick the photo there. Very recently, in October 2014, thousands of viewers would see a strange glowing green orb during a live TVA broadcast, speaking to the camera when the object is clearly visible on the left-hand side of the screen. Interesting, the same evening reports will come from Ontario as far as New Jersey of similar glowing orbs. This one was caught live on telly. All right, and I'll put it there. But look, thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And please like and subscribe and comment. If you know anything more about this subject than I do, or if you know anything about that case, then please, drop me a line. It'd be fantastic. So this is Everything Weird, Nothing Normal. Please tune in on the next one, and thank you very much.